think they will be.
We have 2 viewers. Should we start now?
Yep.
Okay. Can we start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay, hello everyone. Sorry for the delay, by the way. We had some technical difficulties. So I'm Nia Khadra. I'm your host for today. So first, I would like to thank the Montessori Association Malaysia for giving me this opportunity. And today I'm here with Nawarzir Ahmad Zuri. He is an alumni of Montessori. And just to explain a bit on what Montessori actually is, so Montessori originates from Maria Montessori. And she was a teacher back in Rome, if I'm not mistaken. So she created her own teaching methods in teaching younger children particularly. So one of them was by allowing children to free roam in class and allowing children to learn what they want at their own pace. So this not only allows them to gain independence over their learning, but also it allows them to obtain the love for learning. So what Maria believes in was that children don't need to be forced to learn because they already naturally have this willingness to learn. So that was really the whole idea behind the Montessori teaching method that we went through, I guess. Me and Nawarzir, I am also an alumni of Montessori. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Okay, so let's begin by, Nawarzir, why don't you introduce briefly about yourself?
Alright, hi, thank you so much. First and foremost, I would like to thank also the Montessori Association of Malaysia for inviting me and Nia to this amazing Sunday session. So a little bit about myself. My name is Nawarzir Zuri. You can call me Nawa. I'm from Shah Alam, Selangor. I'm 27 years old, and I'm currently an aircraft structures engineer in AirAsia, the world's best low-cost airline. And as mentioned, I'm the alumni for the Sri Kayangan Montessori. So I joined the Montessori education back in 2005, which was 17 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while. And then I joined since when I was in standard 4, 5, and 6. So 2005 to 2007. And then after that, I rejoined the formal education system in SMK Section 7 Shah Alam. And Alhamdulillah, I got a sponsored scholarship to further my studies in the United Kingdom. So I study Bachelor's and Master's of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Manchester, United Kingdom.
I see. So that was 17 years ago. Do you remember any experience? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. It's great that we, on this great Sunday afternoon, we can actually reminisce, and I did reminisce a lot prior to this webinar on the experience, on how the Montessori education has developed me to whom I am today. So I remember when I was back in 2005, I joined Montessori not as a start. I joined Montessori halfway through the formal education system. So I came from a formal education system from Sekolah Kebangsaan. Then there's something that I would like to, my parents sent me to try something new, which is Montessori education. And joining it felt a bit weird at first because it's a total new system for me. Coming from a fully Malay language environment to a fully English language environment, which is something new, and I don't know how to speak English at all to start with. And then suddenly I have to converse fully in English. But when you have to do it, you have to do it. So the best thing about Montessori experience is that it's a fully supportive environment. That despite I speak, broken English, I think in Malay and then translate it and direct translate and speak my words out in English. I was respected and I felt I was taught the right way. So it's a great, I would say, educational environment that I got there. That you have, I'm now more fluent in English language. That's how I become more fluent and confident in speaking English, and a lot more experience that I can share maybe later throughout this webinar regarding how the development of my education throughout my 3 years in Montessori education. But that's put a halt a bit about me for a while. How about you? How's your Montessori experience, and what have you been doing now?
Well, I was very young when I first joined Montessori. I think I was about 2 years old. I was just fresh out of the womb, I guess I would say. So I don't remember much, but I do remember playing with the measuring beams. I remember playing with the ribbons. Did you have the ribbons?
Yeah,
The
I think it's more into
ribbons?
the
Yeah.
kindergarten. Yeah.
Yes, I was very young, as I said, and
Mhm.
I also played a lot with the computers. And I also remember there was a mattress outside. I mean, beside the entrance of the kindergarten. I think it was for sleepy children. You know, for sleepy children, their parents just dropped off and they were still sleeping. Probably, I think I was one of them. I remember that. And yeah, after I finished my years in Montessori, I went to a normal kindergarten. I went to a tadika, Chinese tadika, and I went to Sekolah Kebangsaan, and now I'm in university. And oh, you mentioned that your parents enrolled you in during you were standard 3.
Yeah.
Can I know why the sudden change?
All right, sure. So let me just tell briefly about it because I moved state. So I was staying in Terengganu with my grandparents, but then I moved to Selangor at the age of about 9 to 10. So I was, and I have kind of like problem to adapt to the national education system at that time. I like to be more in an open environment where I can freely ask questions. I can maybe learn about more wide range of knowledge. Something is more into a preference over there. But just enrolled to a Montessori education for a new experience. Despite at that time, the only primary education is available. So I had what it got. It has shaped me in a lot of way. To whom I am today, I would say.
Do you remember any teachers or friends that helped you adapt more easily towards the transition from government schools to Montessori?
Yes, it was the principal herself, Wan Aisha. She was the one that motivates me and developed me to a lot throughout my Montessori years. And of course, like I mentioned, it was 4 of us to start with in my first year. I still remember it was, Faris, Tariq, Umar, and me. Four boys, different years. There was standard 1, 2, 3, and 4. So actually, we helped each other out because we came from a different background. We have different characteristics, and we learn about different things. We still have to actually learn the national curriculum because we have to take the national exams at the year 6. But throughout how the syllabus was arranged in the Montessori education system, that it was fun and very eye-opening. We went to field trips to Taman Botani in Putrajaya. We made concerts, and to mention about the people, the students increased throughout the years as well. So I think during my final time there was 15 of us, which is a lot, and we moved different places. Like we were from a terrace house. The school was a terrace house, and then we had 1 year the school was in the stadium Shah Alam. There's a space there. It's a different environment, and I think the last one is in a bungalow in Sri Kayangan. So a different environment that makes the study years interesting.
So can you tell me more about how Montessori changed your early education experience?
Right. I would say that Montessori education has actually opened my eyes towards an alternative education in the world and in this country, whereby if we went to a normal education system, are all more into intellectual quotient, IQ, where there's a lot of homework, practice make perfect, you are tied up to a schedule, you went to a tuition, exams, and you got extracurricular activities as well, but mostly the assessment are all on paper, they all are all based on exams. But different from Montessori is the assessment are all holistic, where you are assessed on paper and also assessed out of paper, like table manners. You have that as well. The sports, we can join more sports and curricular activities. Like I joined taekwondo, swimming, and then there's one time I got involved in organizing concert, angklung, music class, and it's more diversified education system, I would say, than the formal education system. It might be the best for some people, it might not be, but it's up to an individual on how you want yourself to actually learn what suits you best. And I would say it suits me best, I would say. I'm happy to be enrolled in it. So that's the first point, what's the eye-opening towards a different education system. And secondly, it's about the academic and curricular. Both of them are as important towards each other. So in the formal education system, we are basically academic. The co-curricular are just co-curricular, that you have points for that as well. But as I mentioned, that it's equalized, so it's both important. So which actually leads you to become an all-rounder person, I would say.
Yeah. Do you remember any memories during your field trips or excursions or any of that?
Yeah, of course I do. I just reminisced it last night. I opened up photo album because at that time it wasn't that digital, It was all in photo album. I've seen the report card, So the thing about excursion is that it's more than just a field trip. It's more than just you go have fun and explore. For example, we went to a Taman Botani in Putrajaya. It's more than just you learn, you go around, listen to reading the guide, reading the tour guide. There's a tour guide, have lunch, then you go around and talk to the tour guide, talk to the people. But we have to have something that's a report out of the trip, like what have you learned, what actually you wanna extend on based on the field trip. Like we learn about plants, and then so now you know the type of plants. For example, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to maybe start your own farm, or maybe you want to further your studies in biology, learn about the photosynthesis, the process of plants, because we learn that we are briefed about various types of plants, for example, when we visit the Taman Botani. But then it's more into further, what are you going to do about it? And that actually makes the trip interesting and beneficial, because out of it, we came out with a scrapbook. So that's what I remember, that when you open, there's a very start of leaf, cell tape, and with some of our photos, and it's become like a written memory. But it's something that will help you, when you towards the later stage of life, because similar thing will happen. If you go to university, there will be a field trip, and you have to make a report out of it. So that's something that I really remember, that have given me the benefit out of this.
How old were you at that time?
I would say I was 10, 11, and 12.
That was very young, and
very
you learned
young
to write reports at that age.
Yes, and in English some more, despite it wasn't a very good report when I read back, but what can a 10-year-old do at that time, But I'm glad that I've been given that opportunity, because I don't think I might have that elsewhere.
I too remember I went on a field trip once. I think it was to an ostrich farm.
I
got
see.
to ride the ostrich, and I saw the egg was really big.
Yeah, do you stand on it? I think you can actually stand on the.
That one I'm not sure. I think I was a bigger child. but I don't remember stepping on it.
Yeah.
And we went to a chocolate factory after that. And
Ah.
only a few years after did my mom tell me she actually tailed the bus throughout the whole way to the ostrich farm. For what reason, I'm not quite sure. Okay, so you mentioned that Montessori doesn't practice homeworks.
Yeah, it does not much emphasis on it.
Okay.
There is homework.
So,
course, yeah.
what kind of homeworks did you do? Was it kind of the same as normal government school homework, or?
I would say it's similar. Of course, homework is still homework, where you have to do your own reading, answer question, and you will get marks. You will get a grade for it. But it's more towards the homework was given towards testing your understanding toward a subject. Of course, in intellectually, you still have to assess, because you can't really just go around playing around and learn something out of it. There has something to be with the intellectual assessment. But I didn't felt that it was really burdensome, that you have to stay maybe 2-3 hours per night to do it. But it was just nice, I would say. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that the Montessori experience you went through influenced you in any way, or did it make you different from other people?
I would say that yes, because in Montessori we're really taught to be responsible for our own action. For example, our own homework, our own tasks, our own activity that we do in a day. Because in Montessori we schedule our own timetable. We have the freedom to actually adjust, or maybe if you are assigned and you have you say maybe you want to do math on Wednesday, you want to do history on Monday. You have that freedom to choose to adapt. So I would say that has actually developed me to become a more responsible person, and that actually helps what the later stage of life. So, and I also bringing back this culture of having a communication book. So communication book is like a logbook of what you do every day, where you write down like your personal journal, maybe the list of homeworks that you're given and you need to finish within a specific period of time. That's actually an impact on me, where, because as I mentioned before, I rejoined the formal education system, and I brought that culture in my secondary school, and most of my classmates and even teachers are all surprised that, wow, how come you write? You have this one logbook with you, writing down all the things that happen in the day, because that's what the culture that I have been developed with, and I've brought towards the later stage of life. So I would say that's kind of like an impact that have on me, which I would say that is really important to have that developed. And secondly, it's about self-exploration, whereby in Montessori, it's you do things alone, meaning you are independent. But you ask for help, to do things. It's, of course, you need a guidance to start doing something, but it's more into self-exploration and being independent, which means that there are no right or wrong in doing things. Of course, there are rules to adhere. Of course, in the world we have here in the school we have to adhere to certain rules, but it is okay for you to explore your own ideas and your own experience, to make up your own experience. So I think that's kind of like the thing that I cherish the most, I would say. But then, how about you? Despite it's been a really short period of time, you think, because you went to Chinese school after Montessori, can you actually some sort like compare the culture or maybe the experience? What have you remember?
I actually don't remember much, but it was very different because first of all we got to play a lot in Montessori. Meanwhile, in Tadika kindergarten that I went to, it was a class of it was a really huge class. I think it was a class of maybe 40 people, and all students of my same age. And most of the time, I just remember doing a lot of homework. That was just it. So we didn't play a lot. That was really different from what I experienced back in Montessori.
I see. I see. So it's like a lot of homework practice.
Yes, a lot of homework. A lot of homework.
But you go to like tuitions or maybe it's just
No, not at that age. No, that was. I mean, wait, I went to Islamic school after.
all right.
I think during the afternoons I went to Islamic school. So that really tired me out. Not only did I have to do a lot of homework, I also had to go to Islamic school after. So it was really different from when I was back in Montessori, where I could just really take my own pace while learning.
I see. Interesting. So even you also have some like differences of experience, but
Yes.
it's actually what you prefer mostly, isn't it? What suits you best. That's great.
Okay, can you tell me what was the first thing that came to mind when Auntie Aisha invited you to talk in this FB Live?
I would say that it's memories came back to me. I would say because it is like 17 years ago, as I mentioned, and then we've been throughout the 17 years. We've been going through different phases of life: secondary school, college, university, and now working phase. Different phase of life has actually different challenges. Even in Montessori education, there are challenges itself during the time as well. But I'm glad that this opportunity is the best. I would say it's the best platform for me as an alumni, just to speak up and share what I've gone through throughout the days of 17 years ago. Might as well the current student in Montessori actually still experience the same, or maybe now experience something different. So I would say that is a good initiative by the Montessori Association of Malaysia. And I'm looking forward if there will be more alumni participating in this webinar, or maybe come back to Sri Kayangan Montessori, for example, to share. We are not really comparing which is better, which is not, but it's more into the experience that we face and we share it. And then it might actually be a motivational factor for the current students, that we are learning this way, but then our alumni are all over the world, all over Malaysia, doing great things. So I think it's time to bring back all the alumni together.
Do you know any other alumni?
Yeah, I do. I recently get in touch with, I would say, what is her name? But yeah, we realized that you look familiar and you've been somewhere before, and like, yeah, we've been in Sri Kayangan before. And I was like, I would say, oh, that's great. But that's the thing. I think when there's a platform, then it would be better than we say, oh, why not we go back one day to Sri Kayangan, for example, and give talk, participate in webinar. So I would say that I do have some circle that I can call back, but maybe it will be a domino effect if more people can do, more people we can get and gather and share.
So it seems like you have a lot of good memories of your Montessori years.
Yes, I do. I hope you too. Despite it's been really longer for you.
I do. So would you recommend people to send their children to Montessori, or would you send your children to Montessori?
Yeah, that's a good idea there that you're suggesting, and I would definitely recommend. But still, it's based on the person itself, whether it's the formal education or Montessori education suit the person. But to be given a choice to participate, to be in the line, whether it's Montessori or formal education, that is something that you should actually give to the younger generation here, that they will be able to choose on how they want to learn. But in the end of the day, the best thing about education, the goal is to be more knowledgeable, to be a person, to grow. So both types of education still provide you growth, but it's just a methodology that how you are actually going to develop yourself with. Yeah. So I would say yes, but if for example, if my children would prefer formal, then it would be the formal education, but have a try. just have a try.
Uh, what habits do you think that you learned from Montessori that followed you up until adulthood now?
I would say that one is more into Montessori values that I think this is the one that keep me going, where to the ability to speak up and participate in a group. Don't be the silent one, but always participate, openness. So I'm just gonna tell about the values that actually still made me I continue to the days today. So I would say more into the ability to speak up and contribute towards a society, and secondly, it's more about the respect. So because we came from in Montessori, we are exposed to different background, different culture, but that's actually will make us stronger together, where we have the sense of respect and openness. So I would say it's the values that actually brings us forward.
So you also learned self-discipline, because you did mention you still do the habit of keeping the communication book.
Yeah.
Yes, even until now.
Yeah, I would say yeah, but but now it's you have to do it anyway, because in workforce in university you have those reports they have to do. But it's like, oh, I know about this because I have been exposed it much earlier. So yeah, it does actually helps.
So I think that concludes our sharing session for today. Thank you, Nawarzir.
Thank you.
It was very insightful to learn about your Montessori experience and how it really affected you until adulthood. For example, the communication book and so on. So before we end, do we have any questions?
Yes, let's go through
Let's see
the
if we have any
questions.
Okay, no questions.
Maybe we can give some time, or we can proceed to wrap up. So we are still waiting if you have any question to ask.
Okay, do you have any questions to ask me? I mean, you've been talking a lot, so maybe you'd like to know some things about me as well.
Yes, why not? So how actually, maybe because now we are in different field. You study law, and I study engineering. What do you think that suggestion for Montessori education to instill students, the children, in the various courses that you do, how to get them interested to further their studies, or maybe what can actually Montessori helps to contribute in that factor. For example, maybe I can give you one example on how we want the children in Montessori who is currently undergoing Montessori education to be a future engineers, to instill their, for example, knowledge and in aerospace. So maybe you have some alumni that can bring you around airports, can bring you out for field trips.
Still field trips.
Yeah, maybe I would love to contribute to something like that. So maybe in the course that you're doing, because law is quite a major course that there's lawyers everywhere. So
I think for me it would just be really important if you see that a child is interested in reading, for example, because I was really interested in reading even at a very young age.
Yeah.
So my parents, and I think I also read a lot back in Montessori. So that I guess that kind of indirectly contributed to my choice in furthering my education.
So that's interesting, isn't it? It's like every student have a different interests and different capability. Maybe you can read more, and I like physics, I like math, because that's why I end up in engineering. So that I think as an alumni we can actually contribute on that for the prospective Montessori student.
Did any activity that you did back then that kind of indirectly influenced your choice in career now?
I would say that yeah, it does. Um, I like sciences a lot. Like I'm really a curious type of person. I like to ask questions, and when it comes to science, space, cars, machineries, it's actually sparked my interest to get to know more about it. So when I see airplanes or I see trains, I would like to know more about how does the airplanes or trains work, how cars work, how does the propulsion system work. So that's actually um, makes me end up taking engineering. Because to answer my question when I was small is to study about it, to further my study about it. So I would say that's the way it is that brought me to be an engineer. So one last question before we wrap up. So let's discuss about what is actually your aspiration for the country and for Malaysia and also the world.
Well, I would say that there's a lot, but I guess I would begin with getting affordable, quality education, especially for the young generation nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
See, a lot of children from lower economic backgrounds, they don't have access to good education. So I think that's very important for Malaysia, especially. What about you?
See, that's great to like there's education inequality, so to have so that everyone have access to education, quality
Yes.
education. I would say mine is actually similar to yours because throughout my university years, I involved in a movement called the Council Movement, which is a movement led by students from all around the world to fight education inequality, specifically in Malaysia. So we went all around Malaysia to give talks and to do programs to motivate them, and especially in the area of English language. So I would say that yes, we should actually. My aspiration is to curb education inequality, whereas that everyone can get access to quality education like yours, but regardless of where you are, rural areas or urban areas, because as we see now, the advantage has always been urban areas. They have a more access and to a quality education. So I think that's something that great that we can start, especially the alumni and also the younger generation who are in the youth, 20s. This is a great time to start. Yeah.
Okay, so particularly for our generation, okay, maybe not yours, but mine, our parents seem to worry about us a lot. What do you think we can do to appease them?
I would say worry. Can you explain more? What's the worry?
I guess they worry about our future, I guess, mostly because we're exposed to a lot of negative media.
Yeah.
They don't want us to turn out badly. So what do you think we can do to solve that?
I think more is about to provide the assurance to the parents. For example, of course, teachers' assurance, the educators themselves are not enough. Despite the parents can feel secure sending their children to one school if they know who the quality of the teachers are. But maybe to add on extra assurance is needed, maybe from the alumni, maybe to various program like what we're doing right now. Like as for example, what we're doing today is an assurance that Montessori education system is relevant and is effective to be implemented in the early educational years. So I think assurance is something that we actually need to provide to our parents, and hopefully that it will make them less worry about us or maybe more supportive in whatever that their children will like to venture into.
Okay, so we actually have one question.
All right, one question.
Okay, so the question is, can you share how Montessori education experience impacts on your working routine currently? Or any skills perhaps?
Maybe you want to start since you're in uni?
Maybe you first.
Maybe I first. All right, I think so. The question is to reiterate on the impact on my working routine currently. skills. So I would say that, like I've mentioned before, Montessori makes you more proactive, more outspoken, thinking out of the box. So I would say in my workplace I've always been practicing on to speak up or encourage people to give ideas. So involved in, for example, a design project at my workplace, it shouldn't be a one-man idea because it's a group project. So I've always given encouragement for each and every one of the members to give up their idea, and there's no right or wrong in terms of the idea. If it doesn't sound right, maybe we together can actually correct it and make it right. Because in the end of the day, everyone's idea will get to one goal that we want to get, which is the goal that whatever we set for a project, the impact. So as long as we are keeping on making impact, so I think that should be the way it is be. Yeah. How about you? You want to share maybe in your uni days how?
I think I'm more organized because of Montessori, because they teach us a lot of soft skills.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the age they taught us how to clean, how to garden sometimes. So I guess I brought a few good habits onto my uni life now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's affected the way I work, the way I do my assignments. I tend to prioritize my tasks a lot. So I guess that kind of indirectly influences the way I work now.
I see. That's great. That's like, it still affect you. The fact it's a short.
Yes, even though it's
but
very short. But I carry a few of the habits into my adulthood.
it's great. Right.
Okay, so the last question. How can we encourage other people to stay strong during the pandemic?
I would say that it is a very interesting question because it has been 2 years since we are through in this era. Even I'm also facing difficulties to get to used to this uncertain situation. But I would say that despite you are in isolation, everyone does, but everyone is not alone. So maybe to find the support that you got within your own circle is really, really important for you to stay strong and survive this pandemic time. I would say I can't say much about it because there's a lot to discuss. It's a big topic, but maybe to find the support from your circle, close circle, families or friends. If you are somewhere far, then I would say there will be people who you know, maybe your friends. Reach out to them. Maybe if you don't have that support yet, maybe you start giving people support so that in the hope that there will be similar support that happens to you. Yeah. How about your opinion?
I would agree. For me personally, the start of the pandemic was kind of hard for me. I started to keep to myself a lot. I stayed in my room a lot, and it kind of made me sad, I guess. But I started to surround myself with my friends, and it made me feel much better. It kind of showed that I'm not alone in this. Everyone else is going through the same thing. So I guess I really needed that support from my friends and family and so on. And I also coped very well because I gained a lot of different hobbies.
Wow.
I started painting. I started reading a lot, different topics. Doesn't really matter, maybe about history, or sometimes I even learn a different language. Although I might drop it very soon, but it's the effort that counts.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how I managed during my time in the pandemic.
Okay, that's great. I think if there any one
have
question, can we
another-
take this as a last question before we proceed to wrap up? All right. So the question here is that how you would expect the atmosphere and the environment of Sri Kaya Montessori to be like we compared to 17 years ago. So, all right. So basically, to summarize the question is how is it different now and then? So that's actually the gist of the question, isn't it? Yes. So thank you for asking the question, Mr. Farhan. So I would say that it would be more interesting in these days with the digital technology because back then, I give one example. My favorite example is the communication book. Back then it's communication book, it's paper. But who knows that these days that with the existence of iPad, Google, and the new learning device, that everything can be digital. So I'm expecting that this current Montessori education system are more digitalized. The learning are now done maybe by a lot more videos, visuals, because back then we don't have the capability to provide that. There was that my time is just still paper and a lot more like monitor, but now things can be more and more interesting. So I would say that digitalization is vital in the formal and Montessori education system. But I think Montessori education system have a great advantage if they utilize this digitalization era effectively.
I guess that concludes our session for today. Thank you again, Nawazir.
Thank you.
Very insightful, informational, all that. Do you have anything you want to say to the viewers watching out there?
I think once again I would say thank you for your time on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Thank God it's not raining right now. It was really quite a downpour yesterday. But hopefully that I want to recommend any alumni watching this to maybe start participating and start coming back to Montessori Association Malaysia. We can maybe start a project or something. That would be great, I would say. So I think that's all for me.
Yes, that's all for me too. Thank you.
Thank you, and have a great day ahead. Bye.
Bye.